I'm Phil. I'm very Phil.
I'm Phil. I'm Phil.
On May 18th, Oleksandr Usyk and Tyson Fury will meet in the ring in the new martial sports mecca of Saudi Arabia to determine the first absolute world champion in super heavyweight in 25 years. The two best boxers of our time who have not known defeat will determine the strongest without exaggeration.
This is the largest and most important boxing match in its entire modern history. Today, we will tell you in detail how this fight became possible in the first place. In what form do the Ukrainian and the British approach a personal meeting, and which of them is seen as the favorite by experts, colleagues, and analysts?
Where is this rabbit? Oleksandr Usyk. Hey, Usyk, you're next. Look at him, 1 kilogram heavyweight who beat a bodybuilder. Him not a bodybuilder, he'll endure you. Once I already ate one Ukrainian, and the same thing awaits you, a little one with a gap between his teeth.
Oleksandr Usyk made a name for himself in the cruiser division. In this hangover, he won his first championship belt, and many years later became the first absolute world champion in this division, having collected the titles of all 4 of the most prestigious organizations, having conquered the most difficult peak. The Ukrainian decided not to sit in one place and took an extremely risky decision for himself. He rose to the heavyweight division where, as the absolute champion according to all the rules, he was given an immediate title chance. Usyk crushed 2 warm-up opponents, Chaz Spoony and Derek Chisors, with whom he nevertheless experienced some difficulties but reached the championship status as an underdog. The fight against Anthony Joshua showed the world all his best qualities. Inferior in size and physical strength, Oleksandr was much faster, more agile and cunning than his opponent. He cut corners, played with distance, and avoided heavy blows thanks to his phenomenally creative work and mute. The first 3 rounds turned out to be more spent in careful reconnaissance, getting used to the style and size of each other. In the 4th, Usyk began to hit well and almost shook the Briton with one of the blows in the 5th round. Joshua decided to wake up and began to seize the initiative. He went forward, finally began to hit and seriously screw in until the 7th round, where Usyk already showed himself somewhat once the opponent was defeated in the 8th and 9th. The fighters decided to take a short break and worked out again. In the last 3 rounds, Oleksandr gave his all. He outnumbered Joshua. He worked better with combinations, and at the very end of the fight, he pinned the Briton against the ropes and began to shoot punch. Like a machine gun, it was one of the best performances in the Ukrainian's career. He won a landslide victory by unanimous decision and took away Joshua has 3 belts, becoming the new champion according to WBOWBA and IBF. Since then, Usyk managed to have an equally convincing rematch with Joshua and another successful defense against another Briton, Daniel Dubois. But this fight was not without a scandal, which was spoiled a little by interrupting him due to speed and movements on the legs. Dubois tried to respond with a dangerous uppercut to the body in order to influence the champion's cardio in the 5th round. One of these Okoto hit the border zone of the judge. I thought that it was a blow below the belt, but not everyone agreed with this. All the spectators, Usyk instantly fell on canvas from missed blow, because of which those who did not see a violation of the rules in this episode began to say that Oleksandr would have lost the fight by knockout if the judge had not saved him. Usyk received 5 minutes to recover, came to his senses, and took all subsequent rounds up to the 9th, where he scored.
I think he missed a body shot. A good body shot, and didn't want to get up for 5 minutes.
Oleksandr has something to answer.
I don't really care what he thinks about it.
Then the question is, tell me it was a low blow.
There was a victory hand. They raised my hand. The judge said that it was a blow below the belt. What is there to discuss?
He was hit below the belt. I've been watching boxing all my life, and it wasn't a low blow. So yeah, he was just crawling on the floor like a little girl crying with the judge. And that's what he will do on February 17th when I beat him.
Oleksandr's track record includes 21 victories without a single defeat. He became the absolute champion in cruiserweight and holds 3 of the 4 super heavyweight belts for the status of the greatest boxer of our time. The Ukrainian lacks only 1 WBC title. He is in the hands of Tyson Fury.
The whole world is waiting for this fight. Everyone wants to see how it really happens.
The Gypsy King also lays claim to the status of the best boxer alive today with 34 wins, 0 defeats, and only 1 draw. He is the biggest star in the boxing world and the highest-paid athlete in the industry. Fury's track record is bursting with big names among defeated opponents, such mastodons as Vitaly Klitschko, Derek Chisora, Dillian White, and of course, you didn't leave with the latter. Tyson had 3 phenomenal fights that thundered throughout the world. If their first fight was not easy for Fury and ended in a draw, then the Gypsy King took the revenge, and the trilogy, without any questions, beat him by destroying one of the most dangerous knockout artists in the super heavyweight division. Despite his impressive resume, today there is a lot of skepticism around the figure of Gypsy King. It's all because of his last fight against Francis Ngannou. The story of the fight between the greatest boxer against the MMA champion was initially viewed by the public as an easy walk for Tyson for Ngannou. This was the first fight. In the professional ring, everyone expected that Fury would take Cameroon to the boxing school, leave him without oxygen, and finish him off in the later rounds. However, in the night of the fight, the Gypsy King resembled only a pale shadow of his best version. He was not used to missing a lot. He let Ngannou work so that the fight looked equal and close, and in the 3rd round he was completely knocked down, causing a strong reaction from fans online and on the platform.
At the very beginning of the fight, when we touched gloves, he told me, "I'm now taking you to a boxing school. I thought you weren't taking me anywhere." So then when I dropped him, I started dancing in front of his face and said, "You're a bad teacher. How are you doing at school?"
Nevertheless, Fury's experience of endurance in class was still enough to take a difficult victory and avoid the biggest ace in boxing history when
When I saw this knockdown, I was worried. I was actually very worried about Tyson. That evening, I sat next to him and shouted to him to work with a jab. But from a boxing point of view, I think Fury won.
Fury Ngannou's boxing evening in the main event was one of the biggest events of the year. The event was attended by a huge number of stars from Ronaldo to Eminem. MMA industry stars like Conor and Adesanya were also present there. And, of course, a huge number of boxing legends like Mike Tyson. The attention of the whole world was focused on the tournament. They expected a confident victory from Fury, but his weak and ambiguous performance raised many questions among fans. Someone decided that Tyson simply underestimated Francis's level and was not preparing to fight at full strength. Others believed that the Briton simply decided to throw dust in the eyes of Usyk so that he would prepare for a weaker version of Fury. A third party even began to say that the Gypsy King is no longer the same, and it's time for him to think about retiring from his career, since against Usyk with this form, absolutely nothing will happen to him. Now Gypsy King will have to regain his former respect in the eyes of the fans, but to do it in a duel with no less great and terrifying boxer than Fury himself. The reward will be the title of Absolute, after which no Ngannou fight will be able to cast a shadow on Tyson's legacy.
I know that he will not be able to beat me. Not a single person with an earring in his ear will be able to beat Tyson Fury.
I can explain to him why I'm wearing it. It's a sign of Ukrainian warriors.
Warned all day of a full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine.
The Russian President Vladimir Putin has launched a major military operation against Ukraine.
Cossacks are people who defended my country from enemies for many years. So it's because I belong to the Cossacks. They didn't lose to anyone. It's not about beauty or fashion at all.
Maybe in his country it's a sign of war, but in our country it's a sign of a woman.
Ooh, fuck. Your whole team is homeless. Your boyfriend will be knocked out. And you will all work for me carrying bags behind me.
I respect Tyson as a fighter, as a person, and as a man. I have nothing but respect for him.